Hello and welcome to the Revanchist podcast. My name is Till. Also on the other end of the line we have Connor. This is the part where you say hello.
Oh, right. What's up, all?
And Tom.
Evening.
Right, okay. Well, today we have a variety of topics that we plan on discussing with everybody, ranging from the recent high school shooting all the way through to racism and the good old stuff. And well, first of all, I think we should define what Revanchist means. This is the Revanchist podcast, and Revanchist, in the classical sense of the term, is a reference to a regime that plans on taking back territory. Right. So, for example, in post World War One, the Germans would have had a Revanchist agenda with Alsace-Lorraine after they lost it because of the Treaty of Versailles. So although we're not taking back territory, the idea behind our podcast is that we're taking back ideological territory. Would you agree with that?
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Makes sense. Right, okay, so should we get straight into the topics? Or,
Let's get straight into it.
All right, let's get straight into it.
All right then.
Let's
okay.
go.
So we're going to be starting off with this video here from InfoWars, talking about the high school shooting.
I want to see the shackles lifted off humanity. That's what I really want to see. I want to see our poisoned culture come to an end, where an individual would be brainwashed into going in and shooting up a school. That's not natural, folks. That's not natural. Now, whether you think that this was some MK Ultra CIA
They're
mind
so
control
over the
thing,
top with it,
or
I
this
think.
was just an example
It's
of a
practically,
student
they've
that was
really
high
wrapped
on
up their own
psychotropic
sort of
drugs and influenced by the
conspiracy. I mean,
violence in the
InfoWars in
media.
itself is pretty much
Either
just
way,
satire,
it's
I'm
part of a
convinced at this
garbage-
point. But there are some
garbage,
people who are just
poisoned
hardcore
culture
believing it.
that we have embraced.
Yeah,
Jones
Jones has followers. He's
He's
basically like a preacher.
Take over the entertainment and media industry.
Yeah, pretty much. I
Like
mean,
a
some of the
mad
stuff,
That needs to be.
Yeah,
Some of the
profit
stuff
is
they're
better
saying.
word, yeah.
That's what's poisoning human souls. That's what's poisoning the innocence of youth. And if we don't address that, if we ignore the poison in culture, then we'll never do anything about the poison in the minds of the youth. It's
InfoWars
like
has
this.
defeated the globalist
Logan
agenda.
Paul does a video where he runs into a dead body in Suicide Forest, and then there's a huge outlash.
I don't know what they're talking about now. They're going on about Logan Paul. All right, so with the Florida shooting, like we all know the basics between us. We were just kind of setting up a little bit of a to start off the conversation. So, Connor, you got any opinions on the shooting?
My opinions on the shooting recently is that it's another run-of-the-mill high-score attempt in the shooters. I think he come about an average rating. I'd give it a solid 6.5 out of 10 for the effort. I think we really need to push the envelope with this at this point. My opinion, is that as we're not going to do anything about it, what we need to do is we need to get the bookies involved. So what we do is we start getting all these gambling sites, and we can get some CCTV 24/7 footage, and people can just bet where the shooting happens, and when it does happen,
This is some
we can make some.
dystopian.
We can make some.
future
Hey,
you got going on here.
if we're not going to do anything about it, we might as well make a little bit of cash on the side. It's all I'm saying.
People just start manipulating the system.
HD 24/7 Insta replay, and we can place bets. Think of it like, how many is it going to be this time? How many injured? You can go for the real cash prize and be like, I bet it's going to be 24 this time. And I mean, we can get the countries out of debt with this system. You don't think some sick fucks are going to want to bet on that?
Okay, well that's pretty dark. I mean, I don't think I agree with that.
As a serious point, I mean, where do you stand on guns? I know it's a general, that's really broad, but people seem to have such a black and white opinion of it. What's yours?
Within my approach of it, because I actually had to do a paper sort of on it, an unofficial one. Generally speaking, I'm for more gun restrictions, more so than a total outright ban, I would say. That's sort of my approach on it. But I don't think even that's really viable today.
It's not viable, no. But I find it the most complicated topic to talk about. It's so hard.
I'm not interested in all the prayers. I've had enough of that.
Yeah.
That's it. That's just a waste of time.
Both left and right are responsible, like for all.
It has to be, yeah. But when you think about it, as a leader, it just has to be said. Imagine Trump come out and didn't say anything, didn't say prayers and thoughts.
Said, "Oh, I'm not really thinking about this recent attack. Don't really care much. We'll just get on with our business."
So he has to say something. He has no choice.
It's just a token statement, though. It's just so empty, isn't it?
So we should only ever have solutions.
I would prefer solutions than empty gestures.
So until we have solutions for the most complicated problems ever, we shouldn't say a word.
No, but let's face it, we're never going to get the solutions. We're only going to get empty gestures with the clowns
this is
we've got.
interesting. Imagine they made guns sentient, conscious beings.
What?
What do you mean?
Imagine that. They wouldn't be able to ban them because they'd have feelings themselves.
Oh my
They'd be
God.
racist to ban the guns.
And
then it'd be racist to ban the guns, and the left would just implode.
Just a
The left
fucking
would implode.
just an AK-47 talking to the shooters here. Fire some more. We need to get a higher score.
No, because on one hand they'd say ban the guns, on the other hand, they're sentient beings and shouldn't ban them. So
Just invite them all in.
maybe that's the
This
the
is why
solution.
we keep you on the podcast, Tom. You've just
Who's
come
Tom?
up with this.
Carry on.
Right, you're just some bum we found on the street. We just dragged you into the fucking show, and we're like, "Hey, come speak for us." So this is Bum Tom.
But everyone seems to have jumped on the anti-gun bandwagon at the moment.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but they're always going to, and you're always going to have the right preaching if we just arm everyone to the teeth. Just turn it into Fort Knox.
Do you know, the arguments are so boring for it. They're so boring and tired. I haven't heard new ones in 10 years. And it's only been 10 years I've known anything about this, so I've never heard a new argument on for guns or against guns.
I've heard the same shit from the NRA since Columbine. Really. Like, my favorite one, this is the one I don't ever get, right, is they argue like, hey, the American population needs to be armed in case the government decides to go rogue
Yeah.
and just, like, attacks the civilian. Like, what's Farmer fucking Ted gonna do with his AK-47 in
Against the
bumfuck
government.
nowhere, Mississippi, against the government's
Tanks.
drone strikes and tanks? What the fuck, you know? They have such an idealistic view of themselves, as if like they could really like take over.
Well,
like-
you think though, the military are normal people as well, so they would fight with. A lot of them would fight with the people. Probably most of them.
Sure, but the kind of warfare like they're talking about is like the 40s, 50s.
Yeah.
You know, modern
yeah, I
warfare.
know.
It's not boots on the ground.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
know.
not.
It's changed so much. It's just ridiculous.
And
But that's a fair enough argument. It's still no doubt easier to control a population that has no guns. Either way,
True.
like they're not gonna just blow up their entire country, are they?
Why would the government just go AWOL? I've never understood like
Ah, well,
they just. It's
That's
just
what would have
before, is
happened
it
if
not?
Bernie Sanders got in, eh? He'd just become a communist.
No, but it's- If it's happened before, countries have gone from good to bad, haven't they?
Yeah, true.
you just
Venezuela, look at Venezuela.
he just surprises everyone if Bernie gets elected. He goes up to the presidential stand and then he starts suddenly speaking in Russian. And he's like, "So, comrades, I have fooled you once again. Bamboozled again, America." And just like the Soviet communist flags fall down. And out comes all the communist Russian soldiers.
I think that'd be thunderous applause.
Yeah, the bloody state of politics at the minute.
Takes off a mask and it's just Jeremy Corbyn.
It'd be like that scene at the end of Rocky 4. And we just see all the Russians suddenly stand up and start clapping.
Terrible scene in a film. I wonder what actual Russians thought of that scene.
Oh,
But yeah,
we can discuss that later.
Anyway, so this kid, they've actually managed to capture him, from what I can tell, which is a rarity.
He went for McDonald's afterwards, didn't he?
Did he? I know he was caught,
Yeah.
and that's
He had a Subway beforehand and a McDonald's afterwards.
It's a sort of diet.
Wow.
Because I saw a post earlier trying to make it, when they talk about police brutality, trying to make out black people just get shot, and this guy killed 17 people and was arrested, but he'd left the school already, so I've heard.
Why is it always?
Might have to fact check that right there.
You ever notice it's always the scrawniest little fuckers who load up on the guns and start shooting up schools? It's always like that twitchy fucking kid who looks like he's done enough meth for about 6 months. You know,
he was expelled from the school, wasn't he? Apparently.
Yeah, he was expelled for threatening behavior. He wasn't actually allowed to bring a bag, from what I could tell, in school.
Threatening students.
Students and staff, from what I could tell. He was quite unhinged, and they all knew and would joke that if anyone was to commit a massacre, it would be him. So
had to fulfill the expectations then.
Yeah, but that might be a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way then.
Yeah, maybe.
It's not exactly a nice thing to say about someone, is it?
No, but I think there's a point to be made there about the mental health. It's clearly failed this young man, because on the one hand, obviously we can condemn these shooters, but they are unhinged. So how much can we sort of really lay the blame?
Yeah, but then you could say everyone that's done a heinous act is unhinged in a certain sense.
No. I mean though, in the sense though that we can tell, these people go in with a very certain mindset, don't they? Their mindset is to just kill everyone, take down as many as they can. They're angry at the world, and usually they kill themselves at the end of it. The end goal is just violence and vengeance.
I tell you what, it says something about his psyche that he literally just like went and had a McDonald's straight away afterwards. That's just like
he probably
crazy.
Probably just wanted to be famous, and you think that'd help.
Yeah.
I think it's a way to lash out. I think it's a way to lash out at the world and everyone who's wronged you.
How can there possibly be a solution, right? Let's take the whole gun debate out of it just for a second. And now Florida has the death penalty, so he's either going to get death or he'll never see light again. He'll be imprisoned to the day he dies. So, I mean, so what can stop a man? If that's the punishment, and he full well knows that as an adult, then how can you stop such a thing?
I think though, if the end game of their plan is death already, then a death penalty is nothing. What the fuck does that mean? What is that? Oh, we're gonna kill you. Oh, okay. Sure.
I understand. Yeah, I understand. Okay, that's fair enough. But so then we'll say a life sentence then, which I think you'll probably get. But then, so how can you prevent these sort of things if literally the maximum punishment doesn't put people off at all?
Well, I think obviously you're never going to prevent these sort of attacks from happening at this point, but you can reduce the calamity, surely.
Reduce this, yeah.
I mean, look at a kid going in with, say, a 9mm is probably not going to have the same damage as a fully packed automatic.
Yeah, no doubt about it, but if someone drove a truck through a playground, I reckon you'd kill more than 17, no problem. 100%.
Yeah.
Well, that's a true point.
Imagine driving a truck 80 miles an hour through a crowded playground.
But the one thing
you'd hit 50 and kill 30.
But the one thing about these kids is that obviously a lot of them obviously can't actually drive. From what I can tell, a lot of them are actually too young or don't own cars necessarily.
No, there's never been one under the age of 16. Surely, not that I know of. No high profile under the age of 16.
I've never seen a school incident involving a car, which leads us to sort of conclude that they don't have the option necessarily available. Because when we see obviously in the UK these truck and car incidents, or in other countries like France, we're obviously talking about people in their late 20s to 30s who obviously do have access. These kids, they can just buy the fucking guns on Amazon, on not Amazon, Jesus Christ, Amazon. No, but they just have such an easy access to it.
Yeah, like
It's pretty easy access to a car though as well.
but all the
Like,
regulation
Jacob,
needs. Go on.
Like I know, you can drive a car. You can't shoot a gun. Like I know hundreds of people that can drive cars. I've never known anyone that can shoot a gun. Well, I know 2 people because they're in the army, but other than that,
But you think about all of the processes that had to be done first before you learn how to drive, and licensing. You've got to do all.
driving a car in a straight line to kill people is not hard.
Don't know. You.
It took
Yeah.
one day of learning.
Yeah.
But
2 hours.
in fairness, though, is that what they want to do is they want to go in the schools with the guns because the people, it's an enclosed space and they believe that they can do the maximum damage. In a car, sure, you may be able to mow someone down in a straight fucking line. You may get a couple of them, but then everyone, is going to scatter at the end,
do with a gun.
Well, then if you
You
get
have to
out...
reload guns. See, I think you'd kill more in a car.
I like that Ben just like, what, these fucking shooters, they're just not efficient enough. Here's how... Now, here's the
true.
right way to do
Okay,
it to get that high score.
Imagine a van hitting like plowing through a crowd though. It'd be devastating.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think the French would agree.
practically all of Europe.
But yeah, my general opinions is that I think there should be a greater censorship. Well, not censorship, restrictions on the heavier automatics. I don't see really any valid.
Automatics are illegal in there. Semi-autos they can have.
Yeah, I don't even think semi-automatics really. I think guns should be,
But most gun deaths in the US are caused by handguns.
Yeah, I know.
Well, that's fair enough, but shooting
Not
incidents,
the mass shootings.
it's
Yeah.
always semi-automatic. It's
Yeah.
always semi, And the way I see it, if you want to own a 9mm, fine. You want to own a Magnum, whatever, Go figure. You need to own a hunting rifle, feel free.
I
But
think
when
no
they
matter-
start,
I think yeah. Carry on. Sorry.
but when they start saying like, I need a semi-automatic scoped infrared rifle complete with extended mag and rapid fire,
Body arm.
complete
Body
with a
armor
mount
as well.
and some body
Grenade
armor,
launcher.
and then they get some fucking trench coat on and put their black shades on. That's when I think we need to say, okay, we need to draw a line
Basically,
here.
when the country starts becoming Terminators, you need to be careful.
But then how would you stop these things, isn't it? How would you?
I mean, you can.
There's no clear cut solution. Let's say even with an outright ban on guns, it would have meant this guy could have got a gun without any background. I know the background checks didn't work, but he could have got without any background checks for a local criminal.
Well, I think, an outright gun ban, it opens up the way for a black market then.
Exactly.
But I mean, generally,
Especially in a country that has so many guns anyway.
yeah,
Like,
Oh, it'd be unbelievable.
I know.
I don't
There's more
think.
guns in America than like the whole world put together. Something ridiculous, isn't it?
It's ridiculous how many guns they got.
Yeah.
per
It
country.
might not be
But-
that. It might not be quite that, but it is an unbelievable amount. Like.
These semi-automatics, though, I think I can't think of a single reason they're needed. Then for hunting, for protection, that's always a weird one.
The argument is tyrannical government, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's
That's-
nonsense.
That's a libertarian, like ultra-libertarian argument.
It's unusual because I've seen, it's just libertarian because I've seen people on the left, like Vinny Paz is on the left, isn't he? But he's pro-gun.
Yeah, so many of those rappers.
It's just about fearing the government. I think it's unfairly split between right and left. It's just how much you fear the government is.
yeah, I mean, a fear of police is what I guess it is in the hood,
I
in
mean,
black communities.
Fear of
and-
state. Yeah.
Yeah.
my favorite. I don't understand. So there's one thing people say about protection. They say, "I need protection. I need protection." Who the fuck do these people have as enemies? What enemies do you have that you need to whip out a fucking AK-47?
The house could be robbed though. See, I tell you what, right?
a
If guns
handgun.
were legal, if guns were legal in this country, I'd own a gun, 100%. And if I moved to America and become a citizen, the first thing I'd do is buy a gun.
The first
Yeah,
thing
because
you do is
everyone
buy-
else has fucking guns.
Exactly.
But I mean, because we don't have guns in the UK, you don't need a
Oh,
gun.
I'm great we haven't got guns. Yeah, I know. But
Can you
if someone breaks into my house right now, I have a metal pole by my bed. So if I ever hear a noise in the night or something, I have my metal pole. But if I was in America, then I'd have my gun. Because they'd have the gun.
Not very trustworthy at all.
My house has been robbed twice.
Really?
So-
Whilst you've been living there?
Yeah.
Crikey.
So I'm bound, like, it does happen.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like I exactly live in a poor area either. So
No, so.
My partner's place got robbed, and they came in with machetes.
Lucky you had your own machete.
yeah, luckily you bought a machete. Yeah.
Great. it's like a
You walked
dual.
you walked right into that.
Yeah, I know.
I did. Oh Jesus.
People aren't
No.
going to know the context
No.
behind that there.
I mean, I think they can guess.
No. But yeah. I don't know. I don't know if you got anything else you want to add to the gun debate. I think it's boring at this point, to be honest, because they're so
It tires me
unwilling.
out. It tires me out.
I
Because
mean,
I've never heard any new arguments on it.
well, that's the only reason I take a satirical approach to it. Why don't we just record it all and make some money off it? Because we're not going to do anything else.
I think the problem is being British and not being left wing. I'm just not passionate about it. And I understand why the left anyway are going to be passionate because they're going to just be anti-gun. But to be honest, I'm just not passionate about it because I don't see it as a problem here.
I,
You know what I mean?
I feel they're doing it with the best intentions as well. You know?
I'm sure they are. I don't think the left. I don't think the left are there thinking let's take people's rights away.
No.
No.
Like, there's no doubt about it. I used to be so anti-gun. And until I started becoming more conservative. And it's only because I've heard arguments on both. Obviously, there's arguments on both sides. Everyone should realise that. They can't just think they're right to a bunch of gun-toting retards.
No, I don't think, like, it's just a load of hillbillies, like, I fucked
I
my
think that's what
sister,
people think.
mother, and I
The
need my
sheriff
I
of
rights.
think
the
people.
Simpsons.
I think people genuinely think the majority of pro-gun people are just redneck idiots.
I can understand, I can empathize with a guy, who says, like, I want to keep a handgun in my house, or I want to,
Yeah.
fine, whatever.
Especially in, like, Detroit or something.
Sure. But, it's when they start wanting the heavier shit, that's when I'm like, you don't need that. And I mean, it's impractical as well. They talk about defense. In your home, whipping out a semi-automatic to defend yourself is not practical. It's just not. You're just going to spray the fucking... the whole house. You want something with accuracy, not just a spray and
sniper
paint.
rifle.
A sniper, you just wait in the end of the stairs, waiting for someone to break in one day, looking down.
Every night, just set up a tent at the top of your stairs.
Waiting for hours on end.
It's like
10 years
Fortnite.
later, someone takes you from behind.
Right. I think that's expired a lot of the talk on gun points. We got any final points to add?
I think everything that's really been said has been said. There's nothing. I mean, it's the same shit, isn't it? Let's face it. There's nothing new. Nothing's gonna change. We all know the next shooter's gonna go for the great high score, and we're all gonna hear the left are gonna scream, "Ban all the guns," and then the right are gonna go, "Don't take our guns. We need them. Everyone should have guns to fight off the
Just
shooters."
same old shit, yeah.
But I want to. Oh, there is one more point. I
Go on.
suppose I should add. I should add this. Okay, is that there is a thing where the right have a habit of bringing up how men armed with guns. The only thing to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. Right now,
Right.
they always bring up the Charles Whitman case, and I don't know if you know it at all. He went on a sniper tower, and the police were
Yeah.
aided. But that is such a rarity. Usually the people who try to shoot and help against the shooter, as they have nowhere near the training, they usually just end up getting killed or hurt themselves.
I mean,
There's
I think
far more-
I think pretty much everyone's for police having guns in America, though. It's just needed.
Yeah, I think that's fair. At this, in this day and age, the American police need guns. It's you just can't argue. It's not reasonable. I mean, even the British police, I think, have definitely considered guns.
I mean, it's
in
funny when
airports, you see it all the time.
it's funny when we see a controversial case where a white police officer kills a black officer, and they don't speak about gun control. Then,
A white officer
like,
kills a
what
black
they
officer.
don't blame the gun. They blame racism. So in these school shootings,
person.
why do they blame the gun over mental health?
Yeah.
They look at the motive rather than the weapon. So why do they only do it when they want to?
One
Alright.
of those, yeah.
And
On a fundamental level, you should always look at the motive over the weapon. Like fundamentally, I'm just taking it away from the whole debate. But fundamentally, if you were speaking about this, the motive is far, far more important than the weapon used, isn't it?
Obviously, the root cause of what's causing
Yeah.
these attackers is most important. But obviously, we understand that what we're dealing with here is mental illness, and that can pretty much just be they may slip under the radar, and it's such a massive spectrum how fucked up or these people can be, and at this point you just have to take a realistic approach that they're not going to be able to deal with the mental health issue with such a vast population. Bullying's going to continue. Schools just can't handle that. And at the end of the day, the only thing that can really be dealt with is obviously how do you limit the carnage, basically. A mass stabbing is never going to be as bad as a mass shooting.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty sensible to say no one really does need a semi-automatic gun.
I'm sure someone would argue with that. Like, I want my I need my
Well,
fucking semi-automatic.
I'm not sure they'd argue they need it. I think the argument is it's their right to have it, which is different, and that it's a fair enough argument. And that's why I just grow tired, because it's just, I mean, what a debate that goes round in circles. One side saying it's a right, the other side saying it's not a right. So it's going to forever go round in circles.
Is it? I mean, the thing about that law is it's a right. They wrote about the right to bear arms. That was written in a time of muskets. It's obviously not, taken in the same...
Yeah, it doesn't take into consideration
the modern
amount of
warfare,
firepower that we have today.
the firepower today. We're talking a musket. You'd fire one round. You'd be then reloading for, 5-10 minutes plus. I mean, to argue it's your right at this point, it's a really sort of, I think, narrow-minded thing. I mean, I can understand that.
It's really idealistic.
It's such an idealistic view.
Really idealistic.
I don't think any of us really disagree on, the approach to guns at this point. I think we're all pretty in sync.
It almost just seems like being libertarian for the sake of being libertarian. Like, I want my semi-automatic because I can.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But I do think the other side's idealistic as well. Just if we ban them all, everything will be
ban all
rosy.
guns. Ban all guns.
It'll be rosy. It'll be perfect. It'll be perfect.
Bordering Mexico, close to Cuba and Haiti.
Babylon will rise again.
Cartels, and it's just
The
ridiculous.
globalists will win.
Yeah, that'll be the perfect opportunity for them damn globalists to sweep in and take the whole nation for themselves.
But yeah, definitely with the info wars. Oh, never mind. Fuck it.
Right,
you know what
okay.
they're saying.
Let's
move on.
Let's move on. Okay, so the second video we've got is talking about privilege. A privilege exercise is what we have here. So if you give me a moment.
So this is an article, and there is a video.
It's about the privilege exercise. So all the people walking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we got it.
The privilege walk.
Privilege exercise.
This one became viral. It was about 3 to 4 months ago, I think it was. But they've done the rounds with it. They've constantly reiterated because they can't come up with anything new. so they constantly reuse this one.
Okay, so just gonna give it a little watch now.
For a $100 bill, the winner of this race will take this. It's a $100 bill.
Awful quality.
Before I say go, I'm going to make a couple statements. If those statements apply to you,
You know,
I
that
want you to
first
take 2
point
steps
he makes
forward.
in the video, do you mind pausing the vid a sec, Jay? The first one's an interesting one, isn't it? He says, if both of your parents are still married,
I haven't
right?
reached that point yet.
Now-
So if you give me a moment.
take 2 steps forward if both of your parents are still married. Take
Okay, we've done that point. Take 2 steps forward
Okay.
if both your parents are married.
Now, wasn't the whole left thing at one point how, you know, you can be a strong single parent? Wasn't that the whole, like, strong single motherhood? You don't need that father. You know, you can... Wasn't that the whole message pushed at one point? You know,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
and now suddenly,
let's turn it
because
around and use it
because
for our
it's
benefit.
convenient, and, you know,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
mean,
both parents suddenly.
one statistic that is really harrowing, I think, is it's something along the lines of during the civil rights era in the black community, the single motherhood rate was 20%, and now it's about 70%, which is just disgusting.
Yeah, I saw
disgusting,
that,
I
yeah.
think. Something like that. It's
All
just incredible.
Let's
Right.
continue with the vid then.
Okay, the next point.
2 steps forward if you grew up with a father figure in the home.
Again, they're really pushing that if you grew up with a father figure in the home. Wasn't the message they pushed for ages? You don't need the father figure, or you know, you don't need the mother figure. You can just have a one parent, and you know, it won't make a difference because if you got a good enough parent, you know. And now, because it's convenient,
I'd agree with
here's
that, yeah.
here's this message now
When
that
it's convenient.
and you know, both parents, you know, you have an advantage because both parents, you know, it's like, well, is it an advantage or not? Does it matter? Are you gonna, you know, is it disadvantaged? Are you
I
gonna?
think it's definitely a disadvantage. You want to be having 2 parents.
Yeah, it's
obviously.
definitely a disadvantage, 100%.
It's-
You need a mother figure and a father figure in your life.
Absolutely. Like,
Whether it's your biological ones or not, I don't think that matters. But you definitely need a mother and a father figure.
I
Yeah,
think you need good role models in your life.
Definitely.
Obviously,
shapes your whole psychological
I'm
outlook
just
on
saying.
it.
I'm just saying though is that you know this argument that they're putting forward now, you know, if you go back a few months,
Contradicts
you know,
their own, yeah.
it's such a contradiction, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know,
We're nitpicking at some of the smaller points, so we'll
yeah, we are at
we'll
this
con-
point.
yeah,
Jesus
we'll
Christ.
continue with the video.
Take 2 steps forward if you had access to a private education.
A private education.
2
Okay.
steps forward if you have a private education.
Isn't this more of a class issue?
Yeah.
Not to bring out
Massively.
not to bring
Massively.
out my Karl Marx, but they're really pushing that this is a race thing. You know,
Have you, I don't know anyone that's ever been to private education.
I do. I know people who have been to the private education
I mean, I might
system.
know people who do, but no one is specific.
And I know that pretty much as soon as you get into the private education system, I know you meet all the right people. I know that the grade standards you get are pretty much pushing A stars or, you know, the highest grades. You know, it's such a different experience, to be honest with you. I remember I was sat there in the hall, I remember, and they had like the mayor and everyone come out and just giving speeches and all these politicians about how they're going to be the brightest in the future. And it's like, you know, the point they're pushing now, they're trying to make out this is a race thing. This is a class thing. I'm not trying to push
Do you know, I think, yeah.
the Karl Marx too much, but, you know, this is a class divide
I
issue,
think-
not a race divide.
Well, I think what they're trying to
think the
make out
prob-
as well is
Go
that,
ahead.
you know, okay. I think what we make out as well is that with the class issue, it's just a the fact that the people who step forward with private education, the majority of them are white, whereas the ones that step back, while you know, the majority of them are, or stay where they are, sorry, are black. Is just
Sure.
That's what they're trying to push. You know, it's just
Sure, but
They're
if you
trying to make
put
it
Ben
explicit.
Cass and put Ben Carson in the race and he wins against everyone.
Yeah.
I just think that,
It just varies from person to person. It's not a race issue. That is.
I mean, obviously, if they put in a bunch of rich black kids in this race, they'd win over everyone. And a bunch of poor trailer trash from Mississippi, white kid,
I think the point they would make there is to look at statistics, and far more white people go to private education than black people. But there's reasons for that, historical reasons for that. But at the end of the day, now it's on an individual level, and I think in America, if you do work hard enough, you can succeed to that level, no matter what.
Yeah, I agree.
So you look at the statistics. Obviously, the majority of people in private schools are white, and as I say, there's historical connotations there. But it's the land of opportunity, no doubt about that.
Should we jump on to the next point?
Yeah, go to the next one. We'll see where this drags in further.
Take 2 steps forward if you had access to a free tutor growing up.
A free tutor. That's just more of the same stuff.
A free tutor. This is, again, it's just economics. This is economics they're discussing. Again, I would argue it's a class issue.
I don't think we're saying anything different at all from what we said like 2 minutes ago.
A poor white trailer trash kid from Mississippi loses the race just as much as these black kids sat in the back.
Yeah.
I think it'd be much more balanced in Britain as well, especially Wales.
I'd agree. I agree with that.
In Wales, it'd be so balanced.
I'm kind of wondering. I think that they've been selective, shall we say, with the people in this race.
He seems a bit too confident, doesn't he?
He seems very confident that that all these people are going to, it's like, because most of us, I think it's fair to say, would not step forward with, did we have a private tutor?
Yeah,
I had like 1-2 lessons max, but it was too dear for me to continue. So that should say something about the economical viability. I didn't just rock up and be like, I'm white. give me some free tutoring.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on.
I'm not sure what they see as a solution to that, really. Like, should white people just chuck all their money away and start again?
2 steps forward if you've never had to worry
What
about
the
your
fuck
cell
is
phone
that
being
meant to
shut
mean?
off.
Have you never had to worry about your cell phone being shut off? What the fuck are they talking about?
I guess they mean that they can't pay your phone bill.
Yeah.
The phone bill? Fuck me, I'm constantly...
But either way, then, you still have internet with Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp, which is free.
Yeah, I know. That's such a such a bonus that is. You can just contact anyone across the world.
Yeah, I mean, it's only like... And even iMessage is free, so... everyone has iPhones these days.
I think most people use cheap alternative things to message. Surely,
I have like unlimited texts and calls, but I only ever use Facebook anyway. I don't know why, but I don't know. It seems quicker, easier.
Right. Should we move on?
Okay.
Again, though, it's a class issue that they're trying to make out as race because of statistics that don't necessarily, correlation and not causation.
Never had to help mum or dad with the bills. Okay, well, I'd have to take a bunch of steps back with that because I've had to help with the bills before.
Well, I pay the bills, so.
Well, I'm sponging off my parents at university.
I have distinct memories in A-level of having to, when my dad was ill with throat cancer, of having to help out with the household a lot more, obviously, and things like that. I wasn't just given a free pass, and I've certainly never, even, now I've helped out as much as I can because they simply haven't always been able to afford necessarily things such as the electric or the gas. I mean, it's not obviously I'm not saying we're like financially, crippled, but I put in my share, I don't get a free pass. I think I think it's fair to say most people help out, especially in the UK, to some degree.
I think most working class people do, and that's the point here. Do you know? Just taking it back to the gun debate. It's interesting how the majority of pro-gun people, and it is linked to class, not just being random here. The majority of pro-gun people buy a high margin and working class, so they're taking something away from the working class, and that's something the left don't like to think they do.
People are gonna listen to this and just like start hearing communist fucking Stalin music in the background and just think we're all gonna. So, comrades, let me tell you about the joys of communism.
I mean, I don't know. Class divide is it's a complicated issue.
I certainly think
I
that
think you should ask why it exists. Like, you should just ask why it exists. You should.
I certainly think though with the issues they're raising, I would argue they're far more of a class debate than
I
race.
honestly think anyone sensible would.
You know, I think it's more of a rich-poor divide. You know, Karl Marx did have a point where he did say that, you know, all this race shit is pretty much just, I don't know if it was Karl Marx exactly, or maybe one of the later writers who had that idea, like, it's just a smokescreen to get us to fight each other or argue against each other. And I don't think it was that planned necessarily by the elites. I don't think it was orchestrated.
No, I don't think a lot is orchestrated like people make out.
But I certainly
Things
think
just happen.
But I certainly think we have ended up that way accidentally, just focusing on fighting each other. And I think it's just due to a lot more human reasons, like greed, simply put.
Oh, no doubt about that. No doubt about that.
All right. Do you want to add anything, Jake, or should we get to the next point?
I think we're just kind of reciting the same old stories, just class.
Yeah.
Class. So anyway,
All right, let's try to get something different.
I've got nothing new to add to that, to be honest.
All right, let's continue though.
Take 2 steps forward if you've never had to help mom or dad with the bills.
I think the next one can just go fuck itself.
2 steps forward if it wasn't because of your athletic ability. You don't have
I
to
want
pay
some
for college.
free education because I can run the track really well.
Athletic ability, was that what they were saying?
Just because of they're saying like these people got in just solely on their athletic ability, that they don't have to pay for college. They say it wasn't because of you, as they put it.
I don't get it. Why is that a bad thing?
Yeah, that's just the college seeing that as a worthy investment.
I know. Like
A private institution wants to invest in someone. Who the hell has a problem with that?
just want the best sportsman for the college.
Yeah, because they never benefit from their free education, do they? They're not going to benefit from that. Like they're acting like, oh, woe is me. You get some free education that everyone has to pay for. Oh, do you feel oppressed yet? I mean, what's the point there? I'll take it. Sure. Jesus. Okay.
Let's keep going. Slogging through.
I guess maybe I just don't really understand the point there. Maybe I'm just an idiot, but I just don't. Whatever.
Take 2 steps
Where your next
forward
meal was going
if
to
you
come
never
from.
wondered where your next meal was going to come from.
Okay. Again, I would argue this is a class issue.
That's the most ridiculous thing ever. That is, where's your next meal's going to go? How extreme.
It's like as if every white guy just knows where
He's
his
rich,
next
yeah.
meal is. It's just sort of, if I took 20 homeless guys from the street, 10 white and 10 black, none of them are stepping forward.
Yeah, I know.
None of them will step
yeah.
forward on any of these questions.
But well,
You're right there.
there's going to be a big kicker at the end, and it's going to be all the black people at the back and all the white people.
That's
at the
true,
front.
isn't it? Because they're putting people at economically different positions, and they're saying like this is influenced by race and not class. But if I took 10 people, 10 white and
Yeah.
10 black, of the exact same economic backgrounds, let's see how many really move forward and back, and that would decide, won't it? Because if I get 10 homeless white people and they all step forward and leave the 10 homeless black people behind, then it must be a race issue. But I don't think they will, because none of these questions would work. When's your next meal going to come? If they know, the white homeless person and the black homeless person don't know. Neither of them will know.
Can't argue with that.
There we go.
I
All
want
right,
you
fuck it.
guys up here in the front
This-
just to turn around and look.
Okay, we've reached all the end of all the questions, so now we're
Do
gonna
you know, in the
do the big reveal.
I mean, go on.
Yeah, I'll play it now. Look around, and everyone sees
Every statement I've made
one white guy.
has nothing to do
There's a
with
real
anything.
guilt trip about how we've been given a head start and all this. It's
That's what I mean. What do they see as the solution?
just off the start. They're like, no, you don't get this advantage, and everyone has to suffer equally.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter how hard your parents work. We all have to suffer equally. So then, like, no one, like, obviously a parent's main motivation to work is to get a better future for their kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously.
But obviously,
Okay.
if got however many percentage of single motherhood, then it's going to be a problem.
All right, fuck this. We need to move on.
Should we?
This
Oh, go on.
this vid is just drivel at this point. Come on.
Okay, what?
Joe, I know we're not from the US, but in a UK perspective, I've never seen a black homeless guy. Never.
I have.
I've seen a few in
I
London.
definitely, in London I bet, but not in Newport or in Wales. Like, I don't know. You never see any
I've seen
foreign
black
ones either.
homeless guys.
The majority of white homeless people, homeless people are white and British in UK, 100%.
I've seen black homeless people in Wales and the UK. I've seen a few. I have actually.
They're an underwhelming minority, though. So, right. Anyway, one last point I wanted to make was there seems to be kind of bringing up the equality of outcome versus equality of opportunity kind of argument, isn't it? So,
Yeah, it does.
well, I mean, we all know each other's positions on that. Obviously, equality of opportunity over equality of outcome. But what the question I want to ask is, what do they consider to be the best outcome in terms of how can we fix it? How can we sort this out?
Yeah, that's what I'd like to hear a solution to this problem. Like, I really don't understand it. Like, do they think schools and governments and police just meet together and think, how can we put black people down today? Like, what is their solution to this? I think it's just something that has to happen over time.
I think, obviously I do think that there are other issues. I think the police, there is issues, obviously, with, I think, the guns. I reckon it goes down to the training the police receive. And I reckon this trigger-happy nature, if you go back, will go back to the core training.
I saw a recently documentary of Reggie Yates, and he was in Ferguson. Where there was that shooting of Mike Brown.
Yeah.
And he got to watch the actual police training there, and like you can really understand why the paranoia is so high, man. Like they're practicing a routine stop and check of a car, and like they have guns drawn for a routine pulling someone over for, I don't know, speeding for any reason whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's definitely issues. I think I'm not sure whether necessarily the police are shooting just because it's because they're black, but I think that the training at its core probably encourages excessive paranoia.
100%.
Because there was a case I remember there was one where it was a few years back, well over a decade now, and an ex-veteran from Vietnam, I believe, quite an old man at this point, just come out of the car and shot the officer dead with a machine gun. And, really, I think ever since that sort of incident, they've just had this total fear. Because the main concern for police officers is that, they're going to go up to these car and the guy's just going to pull a gun out the window and blow them away.
Yeah.
And I can understand that. I can understand why that would make you fucking
if I was a
paranoid.
police officer, my number one priority would be getting myself home alive.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to emphasize with that paranoia. On the other hand, they can't let that paranoia just have them get too fucking trigger happy where they're just shooting innocent people, because I know there's also an increase in homeless people they're shooting, and we're just seeing too many of these accidental deaths. I think we've gone off the fucking point. the privilege video at this point, but fuck it.
Who cares? Right, should we
Who cares?
move on to the next topic of discussion?
Yes. What is it this time?
Royce Mann, an 8th grader from Atlanta, wrote and performed a slam poem that explains the racial, socio-economic, and gender discrepancies between people of color.
All right.
People of color facing America.
All right, we're gonna go through this. All right, and let's go for it. All right, ready?
Video yet? Let's go.
Yeah, go.
Is Royce Mann.
All right, here's Royston.
Royce
My name
Mann.
is Royce, and my poem is titled White Boy Privilege.
White boy.
Dear women, I'm sorry. Dear black people, I'm sorry. Dear Asian Americans, dear Native Americans, dear immigrants who come here seeking a better life,
Dear
I'm sorry.
Nazis, I'm sorry.
Dear everyone who isn't a middle or upper class white
Dear
boy,
Khloe
I'm
Kardashian,
sorry.
I'm sorry.
I have started
Dear
life at the
everyone,
top
I'm
of a
sorry.
ladder while
Dear
you were born on the
aliens,
first
I'm
rung.
sorry. Dear Trump, I'm sorry.
Is there anyone to not be sorry towards? Let's keep going.
I say now that I would change places with you in an instant, but if given the opportunity, would I? Probably not, because to be honest, being privileged is awesome.
I have started
I'm not
life on
saying
the
that
top
you
of the
and me
ladder
on
while
different
you were
rungs
born
of
on the
ladder
first
is
rung.
How I want it to stay. I'm not saying that
Karl
any part
Marx
of
is
me
just clasping his hands, just like the debate goes on.
Should we stop it there? Have you got anything you want to say?
Which line are you
I
on?
don't know. It's quite hard to keep on track because the video is just so fast flowing. I mean,
I'm on 48.
48. Oh,
Yeah.
but yeah. Okay, I'm gonna start playing again.
Probably not,
To 48.
because to be honest, being privileged is awesome. I'm not saying that you and me on different rungs of the ladder is how I want it to stay. I'm not saying that any part of me has for a moment even liked it that way. I'm just saying that I fucking love being privileged and I'm not ready to give that away. I love it because I can say fucking and not one of you is attributing that to the fact that everyone with my skin color has a dirty mouth.
Have you just got to the point where he says, the fact that everyone of my skin colour has a dirty mouth?
Yeah, because no one else fucking swears. It's just us white folk.
Yeah.
We have a monopoly on the bad swearing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna give the kid the benefit of the doubt because he's like 14 years old. But slam poetry is so easy. As someone who's like done, all the writing and the poetry stuff myself, slam poetry is the easiest thing that you can possibly do with poetry. Because you can just like elaborate your point and you can just find some random rhyme about halfway through and then make it excessive. But I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt because of his age. But who brainwashed him into thinking this stuff?
No one else ever swears. I got a monopoly on it. Let's continue.
I love it because I don't have to spend an hour every morning putting on makeup to meet other people's standards. I love it because I can worry about what kind of food is on my plate instead of whether or not there will be food on my plate. I love it because when I see a police officer,
I love it when I see a
someone who's
police
on my side.
officer who's on my side. Wow.
I mean, that's the whole idea. Is the police are meant to be on your side, upholding the law, right?
Yeah, it's just the police. They just load up a shotgun and they're like,
Yeah.
"Hey, little white boy, you're one of us. You're fighting on the home team.
Just chuck
If
him
you
a
see
shotgun.
any of those darkies out there,
Take
let me
them
know."
Yeah, 'cause every
He just
policeman
cocks
does
the shotgun. Like, Jesus Christ. The whole point of, it's such an antagonistic view of the police. I mean, sure, and to be honest with you, I think everyone should be more nervous of the police than fucking, taking a side. Like, oh boy, Officer Kimball's on my side.
Let's
Any thoughts?
It's just dumb, I think.
What do you think, Johns? Okay.
Just agree with you.
Let's continue.
To be honest, I'm scared of what it would be like if I wasn't on the top rung, if the tables were turned and I didn't have my white boy privilege safety blanket to protect me. If I lived a life lit by what I lack, not what I have. If I lived a life in which when I failed,
The white
world would say,
boy
"Told you so."
safety blanket.
If I lived the life that you live. When I was born, I had a success
It's not.
story already
It's not the
written for
fact
me.
he's
You-
white
you were
that gives
given
him a
pen and
safety
paper.
blanket.
I've always
It's
thought
the
that
money.
that's unfair, but I've never dared to speak
The
up.
money
I've been
is the
too
safety
scared.
blanket. If you have to choose between being a poor white kid and a rich black
guy.
kid, the safety blanket will fall on the rich black kid. And that's, that could be
I
any
think some people
Asian.
really don't see it that way, mind.
You don't think? I mean, what do you think?
I see it that way, yeah. But can you remember that Sargon video, Tilly? Was it Rich Kids Love Social Justice?
Yeah, I saw that. Like,
And there's a black guy on there, and
yeah,
he's
saying you're blind to privilege if you have
he
it.
says a homeless white male has more privilege than him, even though I think this guy's like a millionaire right till.
Yeah, just like YouTube sensation or whatnot.
This guy's a millionaire, and he says that homeless white men have more privilege than him.
That's nonsense.
like,
That's just
I mean,
bollocks.
Sargon goes on to say that even in a racist society, money still buys privilege. Even in one that's actually racist, money would still buy you privilege.
Just need to look at Django Unchained for that. Like when Django's
Yeah, well, exactly.
riding by on his horse and all the other slaves just
Exactly, and
looking
all
at
the other slaves are looking at him, and he's looking down on them.
if if you was to go take a time machine and you was to reverse the economic positions, of America and the nations they enslaved, and you was to reverse which countries were the powerhouse, authors of even, there's been numerous pieces written how the tables could have totally turned. Money is power, essentially. I think that to just it's such a narrow view to just be like I'm white, therefore I have advantage, or it's such a narrow view.
There's so much more to it.
All right, let's continue anyway. Just if there's anything good, or it's just the same shit.
I'm on 2 minutes 10 seconds, just so you know.
Well, now I realize that there's enough blankie to be shared. Everyone should have the privileges I have. In fact, they should be rights instead. Everyone's story should be written, so all they have to do is get it read. Enough said. No, not enough said. It is embarrassing that we still live in a world in which we judge another person's character
Okay.
by the size
Any
of their
comments
paycheck,
on
the color of their
everyone
skin.
should have these privileges as a right?
What
I mean,
privileges exactly?
what privilege? Which ones exactly?
Yeah,
Because some
name
of them, the privileges to having a meal, to just having a meal, that was a privilege listed in the last video. Yeah, I think everyone should have. I think everyone should have the right to a meal. Or did you mean the private education bit?
See,
Should everyone have a right to a fucking
I don't think you're
a private education?
You're entitled to nothing in this life, I don't think. You work for everything you get. That's what I believe. But
You're
like,
entitled to freedom of speech, for instance.
yeah.
Yeah, I think
But
there's
that's
definitely.
only, I reckon that's only because the consensus between all people is that it is a right, as opposed to, there are people who definitely wouldn't want us talking about the topics that we're talking about right now.
Should we
What
demand?
I don't like is when people are so subjective about what's rich. There's working class people in this country that talk about the middle class and the upper class and this and that, but someone in Africa would look upon them as
Rich as hell.
fucking hell, rich as ridiculously rich, just for having a car and a house. They think fuck me.
I mean,
when you
but over
consi-
here,
I mean, if you want to talk about real privilege, I never see anyone bringing up these Saudi princes who just casually blow $1 million on like their latest
Yes.
yacht.
why would
such
you bring up the
hypocrites.
Saudis? Are you some sort of racist?
There's such
Oh, I'm
hypocrites for
sorry.
some princes.
Oh shit! I just feel the sweat drawing down.
But
Well,
when you say like the difference between absolute poverty and relative poverty in the United Kingdom is just it's
But if it's
Relative
all-
poverty- the word relative poverty, should just be banned and everything about it. All it does is create resentment. There shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
relative poverty. Okay. All right. Let's Let's continue. What one are you on? I'm on 224.
233.
233. Like me. All right, ready? Let's do.
The type of chromosomes they have. It is embarrassing that we tell our kids that it is not their personality, but instead those same chromosomes that get to dictate what color clothes they wear, and how short they must cut their hair.
Chromosomes is what he's talking about. I'll let you catch it. 245. You got there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just don't give women the chance to own a company. What? There's numerous. I mean, the political field has never been so, I think, open to women. I mean, sure, they had a presidential candidate running for president. She didn't win because I think she was a poor choice, but I didn't think she lost because she was a woman. I think she lost because
Prime Minister
she
of
was
the
a
United
piss
Kingdom
poor
is a woman.
candidate.
The
Yeah.
Chancellor of
Yeah.
Germany.
The
And the
United
Queen.
Kingdom had a previous prime minister who was a woman, and a conservative one at that.
I know. Funny that, eh?
Both
Yeah.
both the prime ministers have been conservative that are women.
One
You'd
thing I find
think so-
ironic is that misogyny is acceptable towards conservative women.
Yeah, calling them bitch and things like this. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna keep going with this, or does anyone want to add anything else to this little?
Should we? Let's see if we can make it to the end of the video. It's like
Okay.
a minute left, something like that.
But most of all, it is embarrassing that we deny this, that we claim to live in an equal country in an equal world. We say that women can vote. Well, guess what? They can run a country, own a company, and throw a nasty curveball as well. We just don't give them the chance to. I know it wasn't us.
Because of my gender, I feel that I, can watch a sport, any sport, and feel that could be me one day.
Give me a second to catch up with that.
Profit from it every
Okay.
day.
It feels like ballet.
We don't notice these privileges.
forgot.
They don't come in the form of things we gain, but rather the lack of injustices that we endure.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think
Why do you
that's.
think I don't watch like Chelsea play and think that could be me one day playing it for Chelsea?
I think if anyone looks at like the athletes, like I just casually look at Usain Bolt and I'm like, it's me. That's just delusional shit.
Give me a second to catch
But
up
maybe-
with the context.
Just
Maybe for like people that's under 10.
Yeah, fair enough. Maybe for young kids, but
Yeah, young kids that want to be like that, like want to be like a role model. But I don't think it matters then. Girls that age watch sports as well and think they want to be like that person.
yeah, but I mean, like I just watched war films like Rambo at that age, and I was like, that could be me. I think most people who are, of a reasonable sort of well, at least the maturity, know that they can't be these things they see on TV.
Yeah.
The whole you can be anything you want is a load of bullshit. Let's not forget.
If you work hard enough, you can certainly make money. But be whatever you want is ridiculous.
Be whatever you want. It's
like-
these kids. I want to be an
Yeah.
astronaut.
I never could have been a 100-meter sprinter. There's no way about it.
Yeah, you just don't have the genetics for it.
I haven't got the genetics exactly. I
mean,
couldn't even be an astronaut. I haven't got the genetics for that.
I mean, the real thing is you can be whatever you want to be within the limitations. That's the limitations of your intelligence and athletic ability.
I mean, I think everyone can be happy and make money.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But I don't think it's like saying like you can be the next Elton Musk, and you're like,
Elton.
Elon, don't you mean?
you're a shit singer.
Elton Musk. One obscure reference.
Elton Musk.
Elton, it's Ellen. Fuck you.
He's an Elton John tribute act that goes around Newport. You're never going to be the next Elton Musk. Just soul destroying.
You were actually making a point then until we interrupted you ever so rudely.
Yeah, I no, but my point is that obviously you can only be what's within the limitations of your own intelligence, the effort you put in. You know, there's not the factors. You can't just be anything. You know.
That's funny. That is Elton Musk.
That's it. It's just a lonely Elton John's impersonator. Fucking
Scrapes by on a
wandering
wage for
around.
like 12 grand a year. You're never gonna be like him.
He finishes last in the privilege race. He's last to win. The black kids just look behind and just smirk at him.
I just imagine a guy dressed as Elton John.
All the homeless people just walk by.
Right, I think we're done with this 8th grade nonsense. Bloody hell, what's
Do you
going
think
on?
do you think the time will come when like they're gonna try and rename midget gems dwarf gems?
The hell has that got to do with anything?
Do you-
What, in order to be politically correct, you mean?
yeah.
Well, this is a bit of a sidetracking, but I don't know. That is I think that's a distinct possibility.
Height disadvantaged people.
I just imagine it like saying to our grandkids, they used to call them midget gems when we were kids. Can't call it that no more.
Racist that is
Oh,
towards midgets.
Okay. All right, let's move.
Yeah, I'm done
Let's
with,
move
the,
on.
with the 8th grade nonsense. Right.
37 things white people need to stop ruining in 2018 is the one I've. The BuzzFeed article.
Yeah. 27 or 37 things white people need to stop ruining.
All right. Now this got massively criticized as basically racist, which it is, because if you reverse the races, if you put any
37
race
things
there,
black people need to stop ruining in 2018. Jesus.
37 things Asians need to stop ruining in 2018. 37 things
Midgets need to stop
Mexican people need to... You put anything in there, it's racist.
Yeah, I agree. Right, okay. Number 1. Should we get started?
Yeah, go from start.
Macaroni and cheese.
I have no
What the
opinion
hell?
on this at all.
It's completely subjective.
I've never had macaroni and cheese in my life. But we are British, so...
Why does a race get a monopoly on macaroni and cheese, on a food? What race gets a monopoly? Can I claim?
On an Italian dish.
Can I claim in the name of British white males, fish and chips?
I think
Can
you
I
do that.
tell
I think
everyone
you
to
can make a
stop
solid
ruining
argument
fish
for
and
that.
chips for me? I mean, what a load of nonsense. I'd never. Who would tell someone don't eat this food because you're ruining it because of your race? What? You just tell them to go fuck themselves.
Number 2.
Protests.
Protests. Yeah, I'll tell you what, the number of protests there have been over the last bloody year, people need to stop protesting Trump.
Yeah, I think I agree with that one. Yeah.
I just think humanity needs to stop protesting so much. Or at least protest about worthwhile causes.
Yeah, like, people just protest over the drop of a hat nowadays, it's ridiculous.
It's just protest over nothing, usually. Protest over something worthy, sure, feel free, go ahead.
Yeah. The
but-
political divide is what's, fueling this, I feel. There just needs to be another strong case for centrism, I think. Because at the
And
minute
they got
it's just...
Yeah.
They got Kendall Jenner there and the Pepsi.
Yeah, I'm not watching the video, I'm just... Everyone knows that Kendall Jenner video. Number 3, K-pop.
Like, we have to assume it was ever good at this point.
I've got no real opinion on this one.
Neither do I. Let's move on. Number
I
4.
mean,
Number 4.
okay, sneaker culture.
Sneaker culture.
Hang on.
Like
Okay,
people
it's
who
the
shop,
video with this.
People who shop at JD all the time, I'm imagining.
Yeah, but who are the founders of Nike and Adidas? They're white guys.
What's this? Who the fuck is like What guy? I want to know the sad fucking person who sits down at the TV and he starts staring like, man, what's the latest sneaker brand to buy today? I just need to know. Just
Sneakers on
gotta
a man
know. Do I want those Nike Air Max 95s?
is definitely the first
Are
thing I look
those
at.
the ones I'm going
I'm surprised you've heard of them.
It's in the little video. Okay. I mean, what's the point there? Sneaker culture. Everyone wears sneakers. Well, at some point usually, or not. I mean, what the fuck's the point? Who cares? Who cares? Who the fuck looks at the shoes and
judge
goes, you know
people
what,
by
this
shoes.
is a serious problem today?
Actually, I tell you what, Mines. I remember reading something psychological about this. Is that one of the first things that people notice or make judgments about is people's shoes unconsciously.
I think I would consciously.
Yeah.
John's, you just
Someone's
take
foot wraps on.
you just take one look at people wearing sneakers and you go, you're done. It's over.
Yeah, but
You're
if
finished.
someone's got to put a pair of trainers on, like, I'm not interested in clothes. I buy all my clothes on Primark, cheap as possible. I don't care. But a good pair of trainers, it's just, why wouldn't you? They last longer than cheaper ones. They're much comfier.
I'm just, whenever we go
Everyone
out
should
from
have good
now on,
trainers.
I'm just going to wear shorts and a giant pair of wellies.
Just to anger me.
Should we move on?
Makeup.
Go ahead.
Number 5, makeup. White people need to stop ruining makeup.
I mean, we don't know anything about that, but that's massively subjective anyway.
So,
That's art at the end of the day.
I mean, makeup's a very broad thing. You know, there's horror makeup, I think, that looks amazing.
Yeah.
A lot of cosplayers use makeup.
Yeah.
I mean, what's this shit they're obviously bringing up that obviously is dark face, isn't it? That's what they're building to here.
No, I don't think it
chocolate
is.
challenge.
I don't think it is.
Do you see the picture?
No.
It just shows two girls, basically half their faces are white and the other half they've applied so much makeup
So they're
they
black.
turn dark because they've layered it on so fucking thick, you know.
So it might be what
Um,
they're implying, but I think they're being.
So
more general.
interesting on the make a point linked to this was watched a video earlier. There was what's that show? Piers Morgan's on it, something like
Yeah.
Good Morning Britain, and Beyonce's dad was on there and was attributing her success just to her light skin.
You know,
You
I
see her
don't.
at the
Your own father.
you see her at the beginning of her career, and she's so much like browner now, browner then than what she is now.
Yeah, of
Trees.
course, just highlighting the hair and makeup, isn't it?
Trees. White people are ruining trees.
In fairness,
know that one.
I actually saw this one and didn't. I thought it was unjustified what they did. Can you see the picture, Tom?
They
No.
fitted the trees with anti-bird spikes in a bid to protect their expensive cars from bird droppings.
Yeah. Well, this is.
And what's that got to do
Why
with
is
skin
this-
colour?
It's a class
What's that got to
issue,
do
I guess.
with? What's that got to do with gentrification? What the? It just sounds. You know, these trees don't look nicer with fucking spikes on them. They look shit.
I don't.
It's just.
I think it's unjustified what they did.
Isn't the whole point to gentrification? Shit's supposed to look
Who cares
nicer.
about like, are they trying to say they care about pigeons? Who cares? The only person that can make that point is a vegan.
I think you
Because
miss.
otherwise they're killing animals.
I think you're missing the point here.
Why is the?
I actually
What's the point then?
I disagree with this one because, well, I mean, how are you going to put spikes on a tree in order to prevent the birds from going onto the tree so that there's no bird droppings on the car?
What's the point? Birds are still gonna, you know, they may not settle on the tree. They still fucking fly over.
But if,
You're gonna get bird shit on your
if it's
car
your
at
tree,
some
you can
point.
do what you want with it.
That's the only point that I was thinking of, is that if you own the tree, but, you know, if it's just a tree on the street.
I just think it looks shit.
Depends what the council
I
say.
don't get how you can class that as gentrification. That's like me, like, going into a shop, taking a massive shit on the floor and going, it's art. And then, like, everyone be like, gentrification. He's giving the place artistic value.
I'm not sure if we're all on the same wavelength here, mind.
Why is that? Why are you saying this?
I just feel as if we're arguing past each other, you know?
I mean, my
This
only
is a stupid point. I don't know why we're caught up on spikes on a tree. No, if you put spikes on a tree, you got too much time on your hands and you're living a good life.
I agree.
So, not my place to criticize a man living
You
that
are-
kind of life who puts spikes on a tree.
You are one boring motherfucker if you've got that much time on your hands to just put spikes on trees. I don't care what color you are or how rich. You are one boring motherfucker.
But is the article trying to make out white people are going around putting spikes on trees?
It says, well, the original article was 37 things white people need to stop doing, and then number 6 is how you identify trees. That's where birds live. Wealthy citizens have fitted trees with anti-bird spikes in a bid to protect their expensive cars from birds dropping.
But
Ruining.
how uneducated does that sound? Like that's where birds live.
Birds live
Okay.
in trees.
Ruining. They've ruined. This is the 7. Ruined the United States of America, and it's got a little thing below. 70% of voters were white, and the majority voted for Trump.
Obviously,
And-
racists then, weren't they?
Okay, if you want a blanket statement the whole campaign and just say, suddenly all these racists came out of the surface. I mean, I don't
The ones that voted
understand that.
Obama as well.
Yeah,
I don't understand that. Is that they had a president, a black president, who served 2 terms, who left arguably, I would say, one of the most popular presidents. Argue one of the most popular presidents, I would say, and loved not just across America. I think, he holds a real cult of personality across Europe. I think
By the time of his second, it was so obvious he was going to win that second term as well. It was.
so. What is the view there? Was that all just in these people's mind a smokescreen? And as soon as they saw the chance for big bad Trump to appear, the KKK masks just suddenly popped out and were back on. The Klan rides again. It's like
they're just making more of a fuss out of it than they need to, I think. Again.
no, it's just a very select narrative.
Yeah.
I don't even like. To be honest, I don't like Trump. I don't really. But it's just such a select narrative. It's not the reason Trump won. Yeah, there was racists. There were racists who would have voted for Trump.
But the percentage is
Always
going to
be
lower
racist.
than what they're trying to, perceive it as what it is.
In the same way, though, in the same vein, a lot of the crazy SJWs we know voted for Clinton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, whatever.
6
but
on one, half dozen on the other.
Well,
Okay.
I always say in the UK election, Islamic terrorists all would have voted for Corbyn.
do you think so?
Well, Islamic terrorists wouldn't vote for Theresa May, will they?
Fair enough.
It doesn't mean Corbyn's an Islamic terrorist. Like, you can't judge someone on who's going to vote for them.
I mean, with the UK, with the whole terrorist issue, oh shit. I mean, that's an aside. I think we'll debate that shit another time.
Yeah,
Get into
100%.
that.
That's
Yeah.
a whole
We gotta
argument by
get.
itself,
We
yeah.
still gotta get through this piece of shit list
Oh.
before we get into that.
We're going to try and do
So-
all 37.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I can take all 37.
I can't take all 37.
37 cocks in me.
Well, let's
Ugh.
see if we can get to 15. Number 8 is the Oscars,
Okay. The Oscars.
and it's talking about Moonlight, and what was the other one?
La La Land.
That's it.
La La Land.
Yeah. I can't even remember the whole controversy around that. It was ages ago.
Wasn't
Basically, La La Land won, but it should have been Moonlight. That it was accidentally announced it as La La Land, didn't it?
Moonlight was about black gay homosexual men. I think I heard it was good. Apparently, I never saw it. I
Just
never
the
saw
basis
it.
of that.
Sure you did.
My parents saw it. That's how I know. My parents saw the film. They were like, "Yeah, it was alright," and I was like, "Okay." I never saw La La Land either, so I can't comment.
I think that's a love story of some sort.
Yeah, it's a musical with Ryan Gosling in.
Hmm.
So, I mean, but obviously the point they're trying to make is that the black actors are oppressed
Yeah.
at the Oscars.
Yeah, you need
and
to look
that
at the more
all
recent-
white.
If you're judging the more recent Oscars, you could look at Oprah and her speech.
The biggest thing is they're gonna be going on. They're gonna push for an Oscar with Black Panther.
Yeah, that's what
They're
I'm
gonna
thinking
try.
as well.
They're gonna try.
Well, we've got a whole section on talking about Black Panther, and
Has the
there's
film-
plenty to discuss. But yeah, go on.
I don't even think the film's released yet.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's set in the
No,
UK.
it's not.
Has it actually released?
I think it was 3 days released 3 days earlier in the UK, mind.
Weird.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it has now. It has.
Yeah, because I know.
What's the reviews?
Flawless on
Good.
Rotten Tomatoes.
It's been overwhelmingly good,
But that's
but there is a little issue with why it's overwhelmingly
yeah,
good.
Yeah.
Because
But
there's been
slow down. This is we'll talk about this in the next article, shall we?
yeah, we'll go into that next. But anyway, the Grammys. Oh, who gives a fuck? And what else is there? Migos is bad, but oh fuck off. No one cares. Just try find one that's not dog shit.
Okay. Quavo's name. Oh, I bet I butchered
Dog shit.
I bet I butchered
Dog
it.
shit. Dog shit.
The irony. Is it Quavo or
Tupac-
Quavo?
Tupac,
Quavo.
Yeah, it's a-
Tupac's California Love.
yeah. Tupac's California Love. What number?
What?
Yeah.
Number's that?
How they
Martin?
ruined that? It's in the
I've
90s.
got a.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my. Right.
Number 16, Amines.
All right, number 17. We were getting
Yeah.
through it because loads of those were just boring as shit. Our
National
national anthem.
I don't
The
even.
thing written by white people is apparently ruined
By white
by white people.
Damn white people ruining white culture. And our
This
national
comes back to
dance.
the point though, in there. Like, everyone's individual.
The writer of America's national anthem was John Stafford Smith. There you go. There's your thing.
What number's that?
He was a slave. He was a
Oh.
slave.
A 35-year-old
joking,
lawyer, an
joking.
amateur boy.
Just chatting shit, misleading the viewers. Fake news in the Revanchist podcast.
Okay. Our national dance.
What is...
We have a national.
What?
Oh, Americans have a national dance.
I've never. It just looks like okay.
I don't want to even click on
Must be the dab.
that. The Millie Rock. I bet that's another dance. The Hit Dem Folks Dance. Man, I'm done with this article. It's ridiculous.
It's fucking shit. I'm just gonna scroll through it. There's any that are
I
interesting.
can't believe there's people out there that think what people are ruining the hip
And-
folk stance.
Any challenge, really.
They repeat.
No.
Hit Dem Folks Dance.
Any challenge video, it's apparently ruined by white people. Listen, I'm gonna make this perfectly clear. All challenge videos are shit. All of them. I don't care if you're black, white, Asian. They're
I
all
don't think I've ever watched a challenge video.
don't. It's just a waste of time.
Start-
It's,
Oh,
how
actually,
about
the
Ice
the
Bucket
Ice
Challenge
only
was
one-
back in the day.
the only
Yeah, they
one,
were good.
the Tide Pod eating challenge.
Oh, yes.
There
Genius.
you go.
Oh no, actually no. Have any of you ever heard of Shoe Nice?
Shoe nice.
What?
He's like he's a crazy man on YouTube that like eats cactuses, and
Oh, yeah.
I have him on Facebook. And he just keeps asking people for money because he can't afford food and petrol. He's amazing.
Oh, you just exploited him, I
Johnson.
remember. You just made him, like, drink petrol or something, didn't
It's
you?
time to.
No, I-
You've got to
I
get
asked him-
triggered.
I offered
You're
him like
gonna get
£5 to drink petrol, and he said he would do it.
You're gonna get triggered here, boys.
Which one?
Apparently, you white folk, us white folk, you're ruining joints.
We,
Number 32.
we basically just skipped hip hop, which is important to me. Anyway, number 32.
What's the hip hop? Ruin hip hop, was it?
Yeah, let's have a look. Number 26. So basically hip hop. Well, you're listening to the wrong white rappers. That's the reason why. Eminem, Post Malone, whoever NF is, G-Eazy, Lil Pump.
Post Malone ain't even a rapper, really.
No, he's just
Yeah.
sings in rhymes. Macklemore, no. Machine Gun Kelly. They're just listening to the wrong white rappers.
You can listen to the wrong white rappers or the wrong black rappers anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Uh,
Like,
I mean, people should be
It's
able to
bad
listen
each
to
side.
whatever they want to listen to anyway, but
Oh, the Rugged Man and
You
Vinnie
know,
Paz also top class.
Exactly.
Hey, rap sold out. Come on, rap sold out. The days
Mainstream.
of
Yeah, definitely.
Eazy-E and Tupac and
Oh, there's
all
way
of
better
them
than
are
Easy.
gone.
There's way better than Easy and Tupac right now.
Oh, Tupac's
Those days are
overrated.
gone.
Don't get him wrong. Don't get me wrong. I love Easy, but he's a terrible rapper.
Yeah, and I reckon Tupac is overrated.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
a good
but I
pop
mean-
artist.
But I mean, back in the day, these rap stars, it really was like violence in the sense that they were killing each other. There was rivalry. There was a sort of seriousness to the rapper.
I think that
Side of
definitely
I mean,
gave it
it's-
substance. Definitely gave the music
It's
substance.
mainstream watered down thing. It's just another stream now.
I mean, look at that.
It's nothing.
Number one on that list is Eminem featuring Ed Sheeran. What
Exactly.
the hell has happened? That's just the pussification of hip hop.
Remember the NWA and how everyone got shit scared with their "Fuck the Police" concert.
Exactly. As much
rap
as,
is dead. I think, really, at its
It's
heart,
not though.
it's
It's
dead.
just mainstream. That is.
yeah,
But it's killed it. I think it's killed it. Really.
hip hop lives underground.
It's subjective though. That is like, I like Drake. Drake got loads of good tracks.
Fair enough.
It's all right.
You could just say hip hop's changed.
Yeah.
Hang on. Oh, that's an interesting one. That's an interesting 36. Identifying as black. That's now.
That's the left imploding. That is.
Hold on a minute. Haven't they been telling us that we can identify whatever gender we want? We can be whoever we want.
Why not race?
Now, what's going on here? Suddenly, there's a line. There's a line.
The line is
finally
race.
drew in the sand for us all.
Well, as long as it's visible to see how different it makes you look and how unnormal it makes you look, that's where the line is, I guess. When it's all inside your brain.
All I want is a consistent standard. If you're gonna draw the line, be consistent with it. That's all I'm saying.
That woman looks awful. What has happened to her? It's the sort of life.
Yeah. Yeah, it does look awful. I'm not gonna lie.
And number 35. You said
Why are her
identifying
tits
as
so low
Filipino.
down?
Huh?
Why are her tits seem like they're in the wrong place?
Yeah, I know. What's going on there?
They need to be. They
that's
need to be
subjective.
up.
Just
They
like-
need to
they're
be
on,
up,
They're on her stomach.
Give it 3 to 4 inches. Push them up.
They're just two big bowling
and
balls she got on her
It'd
lap.
be right.
Identifying
Okay.
as Filipino was number 35 you mentioned earlier, yeah? If you've actually listened to this guy talking, or woman, or Filipino person talking, with Tucker Carlson on Fox News, he's actually like a down to earth kind of guy.
Tucker Carlson. With Tucker, he tends to get way too defensive, and he tends to, I think, like he had to, when things go over his head, it becomes obvious. Tucker does not do well under that. He has some clear deflection tactics,
He's a very,
Especially-
very good weapon, I think, against SJWs.
Sure, but in like a sort of reflective view on Tucker Carlson, I would say, there's some very clear tactics. Like,
He's funny though.
Yeah, I do like Tucker.
sure. I mean, Alex Jones, I think, is hilarious. I think he's
I
full
wonder
of
if he
shit.
I wonder if he thinks he's funny, Jones. I think Tucker does, but I think Tucker tries to be funny. Obviously, he does. Do you think Jones knows what like? Do you think it's a bit of an act?
Or is he just that deluded?
Yes. He actually admitted when they brought him under court, I can't remember the matter exactly, that, there is a degree of satire.
Yeah.
So
I
is.
saw
It's impossible not to be that aware. He'd have to actually be insane to not be, to be totally 100% genuine.
playing up to a character sort of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I
saw,
think,
I saw a video of him and Piers Morgan at a shooting range, and they shook hands and they were sort of getting along.
Alright, so we've pretty much just done this. We've done with this article. It's a piece of shit.
Yeah, basically. We'll have one of them every
Another.
week. Great stuff.
Another piece of shit article. What else have we got? Anything? Are we gonna go for the Black Panther?
Yep, let's go for it.
All right, the Black Panther article. So, how Black Panther fought off a toxic Ghostbusters-style online campaign. The pushback against an attempt. The pushback against an attempt to lower the superheroes movie score on Rotten Tomatoes has shown that the culture's war's latest battleground is still raging. So,
do you know what the funniest irony of all of like the stuff is? With revolving around Black Panther is that there are a lot of black nationalists coming out like in full support of this film, because the idea is that from watching some of the other YouTubers reporting on the film, is that you have this nation of Wakanda, and it's basically got no immigration. It's got a wall or like a big border which prevents anyone from seeing it or knowing that it exists. It's basically an alt-right dream. That's the irony.
It's quite defeatist, when they preach, because you can tell these people would happily bring up Martin Luther King and the "I Have a Dream" speech, and it's mind-boggling that they would push forward these things so antithetically opposite, just so extremely, this is Malcolm X territory, the early days, I would say. And any thoughts?
I mean, we're talking from the position. I don't think none of us have seen the film or anything, no. So
do you know?
No.
Isn't that sort of that whole thing, the campaign trying to get him a lower review? It's a DC Marvel sort of what do you call it, rivalry, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's also, I mean, they're comparing it. They're acting as if the attacks on Ghostbusters, it's the same sort of thing. Listen, the Ghostbusters movie, I saw it. I saw the film, and it was another piece of shit. It was not a piece. Yes, it was awful. It's not a shit film because it's led by a female cast. I don't care. Whatever. I have no issues with a female actor, a female cast. I thought the new Star Wars. I actually thought Rey. I liked Rey.
I like Rey as well.
Her character. It was an awful film. Its effects were dated.
I didn't think. See, I didn't. I liked it. I did.
I agree.
Did you?
I have to say, I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Ooh, you mean that?
The second time more than the first as well. I had to just take it for what it is. Do you know what? I think the story is actually good. I think the main problem is dialogue.
I mean, I've noticed
and
some of my
Finn's
friends.
Journey as well.
They've got some real hardcore views against the new Star Wars, but
that's just Star Wars fans. They're moany, isn't they?
But I enjoyed it. I thought I've got my issues with the new Star Wars films. I thought that what was the new one called? Not The Last Jedi, the one before that. No, the other one, the new trilogy. I thought The Force Awakens was superior to The Last Jedi.
I personally as well, but it didn't have as much rewatchability.
Yeah,
the first time I watched Force Awakens, I was so like, wow, because like the whole scene with Luke at the end, Han's death, it was like shit. On second viewing, it wasn't as good, whereas I felt The Last Jedi was better on second viewing. Yeah,
the biggest issue I had with The Last Jedi, it's a spoiler, but fuck it, if you haven't seen the film at this point, you're never going to see it. The film's been out long enough. Go see it, you lazy shits. It would be the Leia scene where she's cast out into space.
I forgot about that.
I was actually laughing.
Superman's.
I was just laughing at that.
And all I could think is, why?
That would have been a great send-off for her.
It would have been a decent send-off.
And I can't believe they killed off Akbar, like a character no one wants dead.
Akbar should have fucking driven into the Star Destroyer.
I was utterly convinced that they were going to do a post-edit and leave her dead in space. I was sure. I was like, right, this is where it's going to cut, and they're going to rewrite. They would have redone some of the scenes, and they just leave her dead. But no, they decided full throttle to have a fucking Superman her ass back onto the ship, and it looks ridiculous. It looks utter shit.
Yeah, there was
It took me right out of the movie. It took me so out
same.
of it.
Yeah,
And
I agree with you there.
And up until that point, I was like, yes, this is really good. I don't understand what everyone's bitching about.
It was Kylo and Rey's story that was good.
I agree.
Really good.
Yeah, I actually thought she had more chemistry with him than... I thought that was
The best character by far was Kylo.
Yeah, like
That was
how he's advanced as a character from the first into the second of the new trilogy.
Oh yeah, he was quite crap in the first one.
Yeah,
But I feel like now that he was meant to be.
yeah.
I kind of feel like they should have gone further with like Rey edging towards the dark side. I feel like if they push that further, it would have been
that's
more.
what
I think I would have liked to see Rey go to the dark side and Kylo to the light.
That would really shake up the what the conventions, what people would assume about Star Wars.
Yeah. Because I think what Kylo Ren seems, because he wants the destruction of the whole Jedi Order at this point. He wants the Sith gone, he said. So it seems like he's pushing for like the Grey Jedi. That sort of a concept.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, the Sith are destroyed, aren't they? So
Yeah, at this point they're effectively dead. The last one was that Darth wearing a pimp coat.
What's his name again?
what?
The one who was like, he just wears like a pimp coat robe, and he's
Grand
like,
Snoke.
and he's like, it's so absurd though, because he's
Snoke's
like,
not a Sith, though.
yes, I'm so powerful. I can see him turning the lightsaber to kill you, and and then it's like,
If
was
it's
a
a truth,
great scene.
that was the best scene in the film. But some people are saying he did it on purpose because he knew that's why we're turning Kylo to the dark.
no, Snoke doesn't seem like like. If you wanted to go down that route,
I'm losing Fortnite just because of this Combat Pro. It's hard to get used to.
I mean, Darth, if you actually go into the lore, Darth Bane, like the first Sith to introduce the rule of two, he basically wanted to sacrifice himself.
Yeah, well, the whole concept is like a smart idea if you're willing to sacrifice yourself.
No, Snoke.
Snoke.
I think Snoke definitely wanted to die.
No,
I like to think that.
I don't. I don't think. I just think he was a cocky, arrogant,
Yeah, definitely.
and he just fucked up. I don't think there was that sort of. There was nothing to hint. I think that that pushed that sort of idea where he was like, I must die so that the Sith can live on. There was nothing that suggested that to me. I think, though, I did think at one point, and I thought it would have been really cool if he was Darth Plagueis.
Plagueis.
Yeah, I thought that would have been awesome.
Pronunciation's off tonight.
It is. Darth, how's it? Plagueis?
Plagueis.
Darth Plagueis the Wise.
Aye.
I thought that would have been cool, but no.
Yeah.
Just some guy.
Have any of you guys watched the Star Wars YTP?
Oh yeah,
They're like YouTube devs. And there's one bit, and the Emperor says, "Have you ever heard the tragedy of Darth Tragedus the Wise?" And it's dubbed to absolute perfection.
So,
we were meant to be talking about Black Panther, but
we were. Look, I mean, the film. I gotta feel sorry for it a little bit because it's not just gonna be a movie, has it anymore?
Oh,
the way they've pushed it,
it's
a political statement. It's gotta be a moral statement. It's gotta be idealistic. It's gotta be perfect. It's gotta be entertaining. It's gotta have characters that everyone looks up and aspires to. They've gotta be like, it's so absurd, the pressure. Imagine being one of these fucking film producer and being told you need to make a film.
I reckon there's no pressure. I reckon he can think, well, I can make a shit film, but because of politics, people rate it highly.
Yeah. Just say that it's meaningful and then poof, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah. And then if anyone criticises it, call them racist.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's actually been happening on Twitter,
I mean, every character has to be like Atticus Finch levels of just, brilliance and moral,
Who?
amazing.
Atticus Finch.
Atticus Finch. He's been a lawyer from To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh right,
In-
yeah, okay.
Just has to be pure brilliant, upstanding, and it's like, can't you just put the pressure off them a bit? Just let them make an entertaining fucking movie.
Yeah.
You know.
I just don't like superhero films in general. And like shit.
Yeah, there seems to be a notion. Someone's saying, like, I've heard that this is like the first black superhero, which is, it's factually incorrect, even in movie
Iron
adaptation.
Man's mate, didn't it? Iron Man's friend.
I mean,
War
even
Machine. You could even include Blade. That great film.
Spawn. Spawn is another
Blade's a terrible film.
Blade, I like Blade.
Such a
whatever.
It's awful.
I don't mind Blade. Wesley Snipes.
How can you not mind Blade and dislike The Last Jedi? That's expectation right there. It's because you expected more.
I've got a mixed taste in films. I do. I've got a real mixed taste. I can watch shit, and as long as I know what I'm getting into, I can enjoy myself. But or I can watch. If a film makes out that it's brilliant, then it sets a bar for me, and then I gotta
try and be arty.
Oh God, the worst one. The worst artsy fucking film I ever seen. A fucking fart under the water. It was utter shit. It was a film called Valhalla Rising. Okay, most of this film is spent with these fuckers on a boat, just laying around on a boat, while the camera director has a wank and fucking just changes the lens of the color to like red and blue occasionally as the boat sails for like 30-40 minutes. And it's like, what is this shit? And they just get some awkward close angle shots and change the musics to make it seem tense, but it comes across just like a pretentious piece of shit.
Yeah.
I fucking hate it. I fucking hate it. I have nothing wrong with artsy films, but it's just pretentious. I hated it.
There's a fine line between artsy and pretentious.
Yeah, I'd agree. All right. I think we've actually covered pretty much everything.
We've got one last video if you want to watch it as well. It's Should Racists Have Their Own Country from the Daily Mash.
All right. Should racists have their own country? Okay. From the Daily Mash.
Yes.
Hold on. Let's get this playing.
What's piqued your interest, particularly from the States this week?
Well, last week, our president used part of his long-ass State of the Union address to criticize black NFL players for kneeling during the national anthem, which is a protest against police brutality. Plus, there's the government shutdown over child immigrants and Trump calling African nations shitholes.
I mean, it feels like this has been a pretty rough, 15, 16 months?
More like 300-400 years.
300 or 400
So what?
years.
I gotta ask about what do you think of the shithole comments with nations?
It's very unpresidential, I think, but he's not wrong.
It's unpresidential.
He's denied anyway.
Yeah,
it's unpresidential, but let's be honest here, a little realistic. Most of us would not go to some of these poverty-riven countries like Ghana. I know, like, the CNN reporters were crying over it, and I just thought it was fucking absurd. Okay, these places, most of us would call them shitholes. It's not to take away from the people. I'm sure there's thousands of
people probably call them shit. How many people from Newport call Newport a shithole?
I do. Newport's an utter shithole.
Imagine if Trump said that.
I disagree, but
I don't think it's like the worst shithole. There are plenty of worse shitholes.
Yeah.
I still think, in respective to the rest of the UK, it's a shithole. I would say.
It's nice, man. Compared to other cities, it's good.
Nah, I compared to other cities, I don't think I'd have to disagree there. I think there's worse. There's definitely worse.
So many worse.
But there's also a hell of a lot fucking better.
Also, what did she say? She said, after she made the point about the shithole countries. She said
15, 16 months.
rough 15, 16
more
months.
like three,
More like 300,
400 years.
It's just evoking back the slavery again. It's just like
Yeah.
the victim narrative. Like, you've got equality now. I think it's getting to the point now where they're pushing it too far, to the point where they're just being overly sympathetic to the black community, and just pandering to them.
It's crazy to give parallels, you know, it's to even just 50 years ago.
Yeah.
I would say, or 40, 50 years ago. To go 400 years ago, it's insane to give those kind of parallels. Because, of course, it's fucking horrible. It's 400 years ago. You know, generations ago, we're talking here. I mean, I think to just compare it to 50 years ago and be like, yeah, it's just like when the civil rights and Martin Luther King was about is crazy and daft. It's nothing like it. It's nothing like it. You know, there's issues today, but to be like comparing them to these type of issues, it's just absurd.
Yeah.
All right, let's continue. Final fucking vid, and let's just end this.
How long has it been so far?
Slavery. It's always slavery, man. I mean,
slavery.
Anytime a black person is angry, you can guarantee slavery is behind it. We'll pretend it's something else, like when McDonald's takes the McRib off the menu, or when one of our work colleagues asks us where we can buy weed. But
aside from all the points they're making, it's not funny.
It's slavery.
Pretty much always slavery.
Right. Since Donald Trump was elected, America's become a much more sort of racially divided place. What can we do, Desiree, to unite it?
Oh,
We
easy,
don't.
Nish.
We don't.
We don't.
All right.
Desiree? Her name is Desiree. Anything?
All right. Let's.
It's just.
Are we?
I got nothing. I've got nothing to say. It's just like it's just evoking the same old rhetoric, you know.
We need to go back and make sure the South wins that war. Now, I'm gonna go with Jess and assume that this is all just a fucking joke. It's gotta be. It is.
Oh,
surely.
Yeah. Like it's
but
yeah. It's appealing to an audience there.
Isn't this pretty much just the Malcolm X line, though? This is nothing new. The Black Panthers, the Malcolm X story, you know, we want our own thing. It's nothing new.
No.
I'm gonna continue watching.
Wait, you don't want to unite America?
Hell no! We need to take the country back to the Civil War and make sure the South
Is slavery
wins that war and
over?
split America
Yes.
Give me a second to catch up.
into two separate countries, and Trump and all the races can have their own country called South America.
Okay, but Desiree, there's already a place called South America.
Yeah.
And... But anyway, if the South had won the war, slavery would still be a thing. And surely you've got to agree that it's better that slavery's over.
But is it over, Nish? Is it?
Is slavery over? Is it? Yes, slavery is over. At least it is in Western world. It isn't in Africa, in the Middle East.
Yeah.
What?
Libya in it.
What is this point? What is it?
Well, it's not over in the West, but it's over
Effectively.
legally.
Yeah.
You would think the way she's acting, Jim Crow's still kicking about. Nice comparison to every black person is cows, okay?
Oh, I'm not watching. Give me a sec.
I mean, I'm guessing from your tone the answer is no. But what do you mean?
Well, during slavery, black people were considered property. And then Abe Lincoln came along and said, actually, people are people. And everything was nice for like 25 minutes.
Sure.
But Then white people got all mad because not only had their property been taken away, but now they had to treat that property as equals. It's basically like the government decided to ban the eating of meat and then took everybody's cows away, and then the next day when you go into work, you're sitting next to a fucking cow. And you're all like...
I've just caught up to the cow bit. Somebody's breathing is really heavy.
Sorry, is it mine?
I
John.
think it is your breathing.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Well, how come they can say moo, but I can't say moo? I mean, it's in all their music, and they're all like, moo, what? And like,
Are you at what bit are you at? I'm at
I wish a moo
340.
would.
No, 37.
Oh, I'm like 2:30, but like I'm just at the bit where she's going moo. What's it?
Get to 37. That's interesting. That's an interesting
I'm
statement.
just gonna fast forward then.
It didn't work. He says, like, shouldn't we have a country that's racially united? And she's like, it never worked.
Different race to them and build a society that's rooted
That's
in
an
tolerance.
interest
Yeah,
because it's not like they just had a president
Tried
that was
in
8
this, and it
years
didn't work,
popular,
right?
black president,
what happened
popular
after
amongst
slavery.
whites, blacks. You know, it's not like things have massively improved in the last 50 years. At this point, it's time to throw in a towel. You know, we got to throw in the towel now and start fresh. Not just improve upon what's working, or at least, you know, improving, even if you totally don't believe that, you know, it's still some racially divided state, deeply rooted. It's time to just throw in the towel.
Man,
John's has just given a.
Yeah.
You can just tell. He's just fucking had enough.
he's probably playing Fortnite.
Do you have anything to comment at this point, or are you just sick to death of this?
No, it's just a bit of an endurance test, isn't it?
It's endurance.
Jim Crow laws to keep us separated and economic conditions to keep us from owning land and joining the competitive labor market. You know what? Let me put this another way.
I feel like this is going to be about cows again.
They didn't want to share water fountains with cows.
There it is.
They didn't want their kids going to schools with cows, and they made all the cows go and sit at the back of the bus. Do you know how hard
Okay.
it is for a cow to get to the back of a moving bus?
I can't watch anymore.
Yeah, I think that'll do.
I'm out. Fuck this. Okay. So, this has been the first episode
Yeah.
of the Revanchist podcast.
Do we have any last points to make? I have one thing I'd like to ask because there was I can't remember, it cropped up in my mind earlier as a question is what would you rather be? Would you rather live as a king in the Middle Ages, or would you rather live in a council house in 2018?
Council House 2018.
Okay. See, a part of me just says, fuck it, be a king and, like, just become a tyrant for, like, the week before the villagers behead you, but live a great life. You know, just blow all the money. Invite the French in to invade. But realistically, I'll pick a council house for it.
For all of that rhetoric, I'll just go for the council house.
Can I not be both? Can I not be king of the council houses? Three wise men visit you, one bearing weed, one bearing one bearing a way to make the electric meter dodgy and wire it up.
Yeah. I mean the health. I'm just thinking of health benefits. That's the only.
Yeah,
thing that's in my
I was thinking more of health and life expectancy.
head. Yeah. Quality of food.
I was just thinking of the lols.
Yeah, being a king would be pretty cool. Maybe.
Living in a council house in the UK is fine. I can't think.
I'd say the
good.
areas. I'd say it is area. I'd have to, because I grew up in a shit council area.
Where?
I grew up. It was. Oh, I can't remember exactly which. It was by Ringland Way, towards Ringland, but it was a really
Is it
shit
still
street.
alright though? Yeah, I'm sure
Really
it was, but
awful.
it's still alright though, isn't it? Like Bettis
Like-
is alright.
Like, it was
Oh.
livable. It wasn't like there was roaming packs of gangs trying to kill you, but it certainly wasn't fucking nice. It wasn't like a pleasant experience.
I wonder what it was like to be a king back then though. Plus, are we talking about a king that's at threat of invasion or civil
You
war?
are-
Or
You were pretty much always in threat of invasion
Yeah,
back then,
You've got barons wanting to overthrow you.
or your own
I
people.
couldn't be
may
bothered.
just
I couldn't be bothered for the stress. Saying that, I would just introduce like sort of like human rights, and they'd love me.
Give them freedom of speech.
Eh.
Right to bear guns.
No one's gonna hear anyway.
Well, I think.
Raise the taxes, I say.
Oh,
It's the only way
yeah.
forward.
I could just raise the taxes to 100% to make sure no one can uprise. And then I'll just retire. I'd retire then and move to like south of France.
You sell the country. You literally sell it to the French.
Yeah, I would. I'd just sell it to the French king.
They're like, they come in,
exchange for a life of
but then
comfort
you're
in
like,
south of France.
you trick them because little do they know you've already starved your people out. There's nothing fucking left. You've raided the resources, the forests. You've cut it all down. You sold the forest to the Spanish. There's nothing left.
Little do they know the true king is Jacob, and he's just there when they get there.
All right.
Just been used. To
All right.
sleep,
So who wants to sign off this app then?
Well, I guess that.
Take it away.
I guess that kind of.
Take it away.
It summarises our discussions for this evening. Thank you for listening. If you've been with us for however many hours this has been now, it's bloody getting late as well. But
Tune in fucking next time.
oh yeah. Hopefully try and make this a regular occurrence. I'm hoping that a friend of mine's going to have some a permanent artwork that we can have for a background, because this one's just temporary. It does look pretty cool though. When you
We're definitely going to try, obviously, push to make it more professional over time.
Yeah.
Obviously, bear with us that this podcast is still definitely in its infancy. I wouldn't even say that. It's practically a fetus at this point.
yeah, so it's still available for abortion.
So it's alive.
Oh,
Save that debate for another
for
day.
another day.
We'll have that argument another time. But,
That'll be a good 2-hour argument, that will.
yeah.
Yeah, why not? We'd have to get some other people in for that one, though. I think.
No.
Oh, we need someone else. We need something. I feel getting some guest speakers. All right.
Well, thank you very much.
So this is us signing off.
All right. Yep.
Peace out.
Thank you. Peace.